Shamed socialite Ghislaine Maxwell insists she has no memory of Prince Andrew and his sex accuser Virginia Giuffre ever spending time together in the UK or US. She sensationally claims the infamous snap of the Duke of York with his arm around a 17-year-old Virginia, in which she is seen smiling in the background, is a fake. In her first filmed interview from behind bars, parts of which will air on TalkTV tomorrow night, convicted sex trafficker Maxwell, 61, insists, "I have no memory of them meeting. And I don't think that picture is real. There is no original of that photo, just copies of copies, and parts of it, according to some experts, look like it has been photoshopped. I don't remember her in my home." Maxwell, a former lover of dead pedophile tycoon Jeffrey Epstein, added, "I know that Virginia traveled with Jeffrey, and so it's entirely possible. It wasn't something so outrageously out of left field that it couldn't have happened." Read more Sun exclusives. Love Goals. Love Island man-eater Daniel Revan turned down Rising 3 Lions and Spurs start adds a joke. John Fashion who signed up for DOI in secret and cut agent daughter out of deal, but the photo doesn't appear to be real. And I don't recall it being taken. I have no memory of Virginia and Prince Andrew meeting. The new interview has encouraged the Duke of York, who is considering fresh legal action against the high-profile victim of Epstein, who died 4 years ago. Last February, Andrew agreed to pay Virginia, 39, a settlement to drop her civil action, in which he claimed she was forced to have sex with him when she was 17. Insiders suggest his lawyers negotiated a deal close to £3 million. Most read in the Sun sheer misery inside dead seaside town blighted by yachts who set playgrounds on fire. Happy family Gemma Atkinson and Gorka Marquez reveal they are expecting their second baby, so Pegs at Corey Star confirms she's left show after major storyline and fans are gutted. ORF Charles will make major change to coronation and want world fashion costume, but new evidence has led him to consult with lawyers in the US in the hope of forcing a retraction. It comes after Virginia dropped a lawsuit against Epstein's former lawyer Alan Dershowitz last year, admitting that she may have made a mistake. Maxwell, who is in Tallahassee Federal Correctional Institute, says Andrew should be uplifted by developments in the US. She said, "The story people have created here and embellished and not investigated properly has yet to unfold." Maxwell, who was herself accused by Virginia of grooming her for sexual abuse, said, "I've read a lot of her depositions, and her statements are very categorical and her stories very detailed and elaborate, including claiming that she went to his, Dershowitz's, house. So I think her memory lapses are disingenuous. If her memory is so poor, then how can you rely on anything she says? When you give a lot of details and make claims that last 5, 6 or 7 years, and then suddenly at the last moment decide that it was a memory lapse, I find that hard to credit." But Maxwell does admit that Prince Andrew could have handled the scandal better. She described his damaging BBC TV interview with Emily Maitlis in 2019 as unfortunate, adding, "I wish he hadn't done it." And she questioned his decision to visit Epstein in 2010, 2 years after the investment tycoon was convicted of child sex charges. She said, "Obviously, it was not good judgment, because it had very severe repercussions. But I was leading a completely separate life from Epstein at that point." Last week we revealed how Maxwell met Queen Elizabeth II. Through her friendship with Andrew, the socialite was a guest at Buckingham Palace on a number of occasions, but was also invited to a more intimate gathering at Balmoral in the summer of 1999 while the Queen was believed to be in residence. Maxwell said of the late monarch, "The longevity of her reign, her elegance, and her dedication to her work was just astonishing. It was one of the greatest privileges of my life to briefly meet her." During filming for CBS Productions, Maxwell said she believed the Queen's death in September would have contributed to an annus horribilis for Andrew. It came after his legal battle over claims by Virginia resulted in him stepping back from royal duties. In a message to the Duke and his ex-wife Sarah, Maxwell said, "I wish them the happiest new year that you can have under such difficult circumstances. I am profoundly sorry for the loss of his mother, who was one of the great women. I hope 2023 has more uplifting and lovely things than what was clearly his annus horribilis in 2022. Maxwell was charged with luring girls as young as 14 to be abused by Epstein, and convicted in December 2021 on 5 counts, including trafficking a minor, and sentenced to 20 years jail. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said at the time the sentence held her accountable for perpetrating heinous crimes against children. He added, "This sentence sends a strong message that no one is above the law and it is never too late for justice. We again express our gratitude to Epstein and Maxwell's victims for their courage in coming forward, in testifying at trial, and in sharing their stories as part of today's sentencing." Epstein was found dead in his prison cell while awaiting trial for sex trafficking in 2019. Now, as she waits for her appeal to play out, Maxwell is determined to move on from the high-flying life she once had, as the well-connected friend of President Bill Clinton, his wife Hillary and daughter Chelsea. She said, "I was incredibly fortunate to have an opportunity to spend time with President Clinton and get to know him. The Clintons used to be very close to me. I hosted parties for them." But she puts the cooling of their friendship down to her previous support for Donald Trump rather than the Epstein scandal. Her latest husband, Scott Borgerson, abandoned her after her arrest, and she has struggled to get him to release her money to fund her legal case during the divorce process. "Looking back, love does not seem to have been my strongest suit," she said wryly. "But I wouldn't say every man that I fell in love with was a mistake. Some of them have been just wonderful and remain very good friends. The one that I obviously regret the most was Epstein." So she is focused on the future, and her hopes for rebuilding her life after losing her reputation, her social connections and her fortune. "I've lost everything," she admits. "But I'm not focused on money. I'm focused on being more helpful to other people, and trying, in what remaining time I have left, to see what I can do to help others. Prison is truly one of the most barbaric and terrible experiences any person can undergo. Literally the only thing that drives me and keeps me sane is the belief I still have something to give. I'm going to pour my energy into helping other people I have met who are incarcerated. If the war in Ukraine is still going on, I could use my EMT, emergency medical technician, and paramedic skills, and maybe I could go out and help there." Read more on the Sun Till Talk. "I worked at Tesco and there's a reason we always try to talk to you at the till. Share comes trouble. I forked out £900 on extensions, but it was an epic fail, and I will correct some of the lies that have been told, and reveal some of the hidden truths." Daphne Barak is a documentary filmmaker who has interviewed the likes of Nelson Mandela, Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton. Extracts from her interview will be shown exclusively on Jeremy Kyle Live, Ghislaine Behind Bars tomorrow night on TalkTV at 7 p.m. Giuffre fighter B. Samantha Eula Virginia Giuffre has become a campaigner against sex trafficking after her Jeffrey Epstein ordeal. Sexually abused as a child, she was a vulnerable teen working at Donald Trump's resort in Florida when she met Ghislaine Maxwell. The socialite asked if she wanted to train as a massage therapist. Lured into Maxwell and tycoon boyfriend Epstein's sordid world, she was passed around like a platter of fruit to his powerful pals. She says she was introduced to Andrew at 17 in 2001. Now living in Australia, Virginia, Wright says Maxwell told her to do for Andrew what I do for Jeffrey. With cases against Epstein, Maxwell and others, she became the most vocal of their alleged victims.